Hey, what's up everyone, it's your girl Brain Shanae, and today I'll be doing a book review for Hurricane Summer by Asha Braunfield, so please stay tuned. And I am back, and also if you're new to my channel, welcome. So today I'll be doing a book review for Hurricane Summer by Asha Braunfield. Asha Braunfield is also an actress. She's also starred in Riverdale and the band called the Pussycats. So if you've seen Riverdale, then you should know who I'm talking about. But this is her debut book, and I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. I know there are others that find this book problematic in certain situations, who they feel like some parts in the book were not appropriate, it wasn't accurate, but I really enjoyed this book from reading about it and learning more about the main character, and also about the author Asha's background. And so this book is following a girl named Tilla. Now Tilla is lives in Canada, but her mother and father are from Jamaica, and her mother moved to Canada, and then her father came like a few months after to go to Canada. And so yes, they lived a great life. Her father was always around, but then her mother and father were just not getting along, and Tilla's father just did not want to be in Canada any longer, based off of not really getting job opportunities, and he just felt like he was an outsider in Canada. So he went back to Jamaica because that's where his heart was. So with that choice of Tilla's dad leaving Canada to go back to Jamaica and live there permanently, Tilla felt abandoned. She felt like her father just left her mom, and left her little sister, and she just felt like, am I good enough? Is it, why did you leave? Was I not important in your life? So next thing you know, Tilla's mother makes the decision of having her Tilla and her sister, Maya, one of those, I don't know which one, I think it's Maya, but they call her Mai, so I'm guessing it's Maya. And she makes the decision of having them go to Jamaica to visit their father. Now mind you, their mother is still on edge about having them go during this time of year, because this is during hurricane season for Jamaica, and she was very hesitant to do this, but her father made it plain and clear, you're just trying to keep my daughters away from me and what have you. So she's like, okay, fine, you can have your daughters for the summer. So they, Mai and Tilla go down for the summer to meet their father, or, to, visit their father, and to just be with him throughout the entire summer, and to have a better connection with her family in Jamaica. So it's a small island in Jamaica. So she gets there, and she meets all her cousins, her aunts and uncles and what have you. And then all of a sudden her father decides, okay, I gotta do some business. I'll be gone for at least 4 weeks, or 3 or 4 weeks or so. And Tilla yet again feels abandoned. Like, we came out here to Jamaica to be with you, and you're leaving us again. Now she feels most abandoned, but her little sister doesn't, because her little sister wasn't exposed to what she had seen with her mother and father all constantly fighting when he lived in Canada with them. So Maya has no recollection of all that happening. She just really wants to be with her father because she hasn't seen him in a long time. But Tilla feels the abandonment that since the very beginning, and she's like, we just came here and you're doing this again, and we're literally in the same country as you. And she just finds that very like heartbreaking, and wondering, why is he doing this? We're here, are we still not good enough, and we're in Jamaica? So as he is traveling to do some work business or whatever, what have you, she is pretty much being scalded by her aunt, and she's trying to figure out, why is her aunt so mean to her? Like, literally the room that Tilla and her sister are staying in, that's what her room was. But I believe in Jamaica, Tilla's father is like the hierarchy, so whatever he says goes. I'm not sure, but it has a lot to do with a lot of culture within this book. I'm not sure much about Jamaican culture. I need to educate myself a little bit more about it. But they were pretty much in this book prescribing that the man of the house is her father, and he gets to say whatever happens, what goes, and what have you. So So her aunt really resented Tilla, of course, and she was constantly scolding her about, you're disgusting, you don't know how to keep your room clean, obviously you're lazy, you're privileged, you just don't know anything about hard work, dedication, what have you. She was scolding her the whole entire time she was in Jamaica. And Tilla was trying to figure out why, but then she realized that her aunt wanted a certain life and wanted to pretty much live outside of her father's world. And she didn't get that option because her Tilla's father pretty much told his sister, like, no, you have to live here, this is your room, and what have you, and that was it. Her aunt did not have a say in her own future. So pretty much her aunt was taking it out on Tilla, and everything. And then also you have Tilla's cousins, which one is Andre, which I feel in this book, Tilla really valued Andre the most. Andre was the most welcoming when she came to Jamaica and everything like that. Andre was just the person she would always come to talk about, and he would talk about the culture and everything like that, and speak in Jamaican the proper way, and that once she's around a lot more, she will get a hang of it. Which also reminds me, they have a glossary of what some words mean. So you have Ali, and then you have Bada, which means brother. You have Bon, which means born. So you have all that. So we had a glossary that gives us pretty much the meaning of what they were saying, which a lot of those I was able to know what they said. I don't know, it's just natural, I think, for me, like, oh, this, I know what this means. There were some things that tripped me, but some things were pretty clear. And so Andre was just welcoming. Now with her other cousin, Deanna, she was just really prissy. I would say she was just really snarky and just really felt like she was like top of the totem pole. She was that bitch. And she was just looking at Tilla like, girl, you ain't from here. You know, just really prissy and just had an attitude for mostly the entire book, in my opinion. And Tilla was trying to understand why that is. Why was she acting this way? And a lot of times in this book, they call Tilla foreigner, pretty much, which means she's not from Jamaica, she's from Canada. So they call her foreigner. And I feel like they were just downplaying her in a lot of situations, just because she wasn't born in Jamaica. So that was one thing that she did not like. Or they just called her Canada, and they did not call her by her name, which I felt like they were devaluing her based on the fact that she lives in Canada and not in Jamaica. So they either called her foreigner or they called her Canada. And that was a whole nother thing. So literally within this book, it talks about classism. It also talks about colorism. So Andre, the person, her cousin that she's pretty much has a great relationship with, he is dark complected, and throughout the entire family they downplay him and treat him pretty much like he's nobody, and that he just is not a real person, and his only purpose is just to be a farmhand for the family, even though he's part of the family, but they treat him like crap just because the base of the color of his skin, his complexion. And Tilla doesn't get this treatment due to the fact that she is light-skinned, but when it comes to Andre, and he's pretty much the only one that's dark complected in the family, he's treated differently and poorly. And so you have where it talks about colorism, which is in this book. You talk about the father-daughter dynamic in this book. You talk about sexuality within this book. There's also trigger warnings or sexual assault and rape. So there's a lot of trigger warnings within this book that I think is very, like, if you get into this book, I think that you should know about those as well, just to let you know. But this is a coming of age story as well. So Tilla, she's like, okay, Deanna is just who she is. This is her personality. But then she meets one of Deanna's friends called Hassan. And apparently Hassan and Deanna are betrothed. And Hassan doesn't really like Deanna. And Tilla is feeling Hassan. And Hassan is feeling Tilla. And so Deanna is sensing this, like, okay, what's going on? Like, this is my boo. Like, why are you liking her? And this is and Tilla, why are you messing with my man, type of deal. But she was pretty much neutral throughout the entire book until later on, which gets really crazy. I'm not going to talk about that part because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But with that being said, like, you have certain things that happen throughout the book where Tilla realizes certain things with her father, her family, and just the abandonment that she feels from her father. So after those few weeks that her father was gone, her father came back, and they were sent down to be with him in Kingston. I believe, a town in Kingston. So they were in the country in Jamaica, and then they were going to the town. And then that's when she met this girl that who her father considers his friend. And she did her hair and Mai's hair. And the next thing you know, Tilla finds out why her father never really returned to Canada, and that he's pretty much cheating on her mom, and that he has pretty much made a whole new family in Jamaica without her knowing or her mother knowing. And so with that, her and her father get in a fight, and so literally he sends her back into the country with his family, with his brothers and sisters and everything like that, nephews, nieces, all that. And that is during the time of a storm, the hurricane. And literally within Tilla there is a storm, and she has to find her own voice and find out what's her worth, what she feels like she deserves. And throughout this book, she's literally trying to find herself. And that's why I say this is a coming of age story, literally trying to find herself, finding her own voice, finding her own worth. So throughout this book, you see a lot of controversial things that I've seen in some people's reviews, where they felt like how in the book it makes it seem like Jamaican people are terrible when it comes to people that are not from Jamaica. They're rude, arrogant, just snarky. So I've seen those reviews about this book that feel like this was not a good representation of Jamaica and Jamaican culture. So we have that. But within this book, like, let me go back to the storm. So as she's back in the country, this is when the hurricane happens, and there's rain is just pouring down really hard. Deanna, she goes outside, and she gets pretty much sexually assaulted and raped by a boy that is Hassan's cousin, but she doesn't know that until later on. And she's trying to figure out why this happened, like, because this boy really likes Tilla, but Tilla wasn't anything to do with him or anything like that. But she felt like maybe she gave him like some type of vibes that she really didn't like him. But I don't know, I guess some people felt like, oh, she was really liking him or whatever, but she never thought that was her intentions, or have thought like, oh, I did this, so maybe he thought he likes me or whatever. So he did that. And the next thing you know, you find out Deanna is the reason why she was sexually assaulted. And I'm thinking, like, why would you do that to family? You would do that to your own family. You would have somebody sexually assault and rape your cousin just because you feel threatened because Hassan, your betrothed, likes her instead of you. And the only reason why they're betrothed, well, I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to spoil it, because they're betrothed for a certain reason. And I think a lot of people, knew why they were betrothed, but you get a better understanding of the specifics of it. So, like, literally with that alone, that really upset me. Like, that was just wrong. Like, literally you allowed that to happen. Like, you wanted that to happen. And then all of a sudden, after this happened, Deanna and everybody, Deanna's friends start calling, Tilla a whore and everything like that, when it was nothing like that at all. So you have that. And with all this happening, her dad finds out, and he agrees with the village, with the family, about she being a whore, and she's wandering around doing God knows what during the time late at night. And that was not a thing. And that also hurt Tilla, because she felt like, I'm your daughter. Why are you believing everything else of what people say coming out of their mouths? Why are you not believing me? I'm your blood, I'm your daughter. Why are you not believing me when I'm telling you? So literally, she made this conclusion that, you know what, he is not going to value me. Obviously, he doesn't care that I am his daughter. He doesn't want anything to do with me. But you know what, in order for me to move on and for me to be strong, is just to forgive him for me. Not for him, but for me. And so Tilla had that awakening at the very end of the book, and she still had this great relationship with Andre, who she really, really valued so much. Like, she even wanted him to, like, since he was dark complected, he didn't have the opportunity to go to school or whatever. His family wouldn't allow him to. He was pretty much, like I said, a farmhand, so he was dealing with the land and everything, tending to the farm. And Tilla found that just terrible. So she was even trying to have him go to Canada so that he could have an education and a better chance. And also, he is amazing. He's a wonderful artist, which she did discover. But later on in the book, you realize that was just not going to happen. When Tilla was trying to tell her mom, like, hey, Andre, I think he should live with us in Canada so that he can get an education and that he can have some opportunities for himself, because obviously he will not have opportunities where he lives in Jamaica. But when that decision was going to be made, something happened to Andre, which that devastated Tilla so much, and it devastated the family. But I think that Tilla realized that he's at peace, and that Andre is always with her. And so also with this book, with this cover, apparently Andre, before what happened to Andre at the end of the book, this is like, I believe this is the art that he came up with when he was drawing Tilla. So this is pretty much inspired, sort of like the drawing from Andre that he made of Tilla in the rain. So I thought that was pretty cool, and it sort of went together with that, so that's amazing. But yeah, so literally this book is a powerful coming of age story. It deals with colorism, classism, young love, the father and daughter dynamic, and what it means to discover your own voice, and in the center of a complete destruction, pretty much, because that hurricane really did hit them really hard. But they were able to pretty much after the hurricane, they were able to come back and to start over and rebuild. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars because I really enjoyed it. It kept me wanting to know more about Tilla, about her family, about her father, and what have you, and coming to the conclusion that her father just will not be in her life, and she made that decision based off of what she's seen in Jamaica, and what she did not want to have, that in her life, and that destruction in her life when she was still trying to find herself. And literally throughout this whole book, she was finding herself, and then she found herself to the very end of this book, which I loved very, very much, because I think, and I feel like this book is relatable. There were times where I felt like I was Tilla in certain situations, where you feel the abandonment of your father, of a father dynamic, when they're not gone, or they're not there, or they don't give you that much attention, and stuff like that. And I just find this book very powerful and very heartfelt, and just seemingly beautiful, and I feel like the strength that Tilla shows in this book is amazing, and the courage to do that. Now I will say, like, after the sexual assault, she really didn't say what happened to her, and I think she just brushed it aside. I feel like that could have been acknowledged a little bit more. I felt like she should have spoke up about that, but it just seems like after that happened, she just shoved it under the rug, and that was it. Where I feel like with the voice that she discovered, I felt like she should have just said it then and there, who did this, who did that, and what have you, and just came straight out with it. I really do wish that was something in this book that Tilla had done, especially since she gained strength to do everything else as far as her father. I wish she had spoke up about the situation that happened, and just claimed that, hey, I'm not a whore, this is what really happened, I don't care what you say, that literally is what happened to me. So that's one thing that I wish was acknowledged in the book, but like I said, it was brushed aside after the fact. So I did not like that one thing about that. But all in all, I really enjoyed this book. This book came out earlier this month, so you can get your copy of it today at your indie bookstore, or wherever books are being sold. So I really, like I said, I really enjoyed this book. I really, like, the cover got me, but just reading the words within the pages in itself, it just really struck me. And so I really, really, really enjoyed this book. But that is it. That is my review. I don't want to keep on going because I'm going to keep ranting about it. I really enjoyed Tilla. I loved everything that she was doing. She even felt like when it came to her relationship with, that she was starting to love Hassan, she felt like the only reason why she was gravitating to him is because he was a male figure, and she didn't have that male figure in her life. She didn't have her father, so she was gravitating to Hassan, but she realized she didn't need Hassan. She needed her voice, and I just love that. She does not need a man. She does not need a male figure to have her own voice, to know what she wants to do with her life, and just to move on. So love this book so much. 5 out of 5 stars for me. But like I said, that is it. I don't want to rant any more about it. I hope you go out and get it and see for yourself what it's about. And if you read this book, let me know down below what you thought of the book. Like I said, regarding especially like the controversial things that some people did not like in this book, in the representation of Jamaican culture. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Also, hit that subscribe button and that bell to be notified when I upload more videos in the future. But thank you so much for watching, you guys, and please stay healthy and stay safe. See ya!